So, good evening, guys, and welcome to interview preparation session, which is conducting by 360 DGTMG. And in today's session, we'll see some of the questions which they have been asked in recent interviews of from SQL background. Not only is SQL, we'll also do some deep learning questions. So, first question for the day, guys. What are the SQL commands and name any five of them? So, if anyone has any doubts, like if you do have any queries on that particular statement which have been kept in the screen, just try to ping me in the chat box and we'll discover the answer in a minute. Yeah. So as we look into this, there are this SQL commands are alter, update, delete, insert, create. So these are some of the SQL commands which we might have come across of the from the course, and there are many more commands, some more, but which these are of some fundamental commands like alter, updates is used for the update that SQL command, delete is used for delete the command, insert is used for after creating a command, like after creating a variable or anything else in the data in the SQL. If we want to insert anything inside, then we have to use this insert symbol, insert command, and create any table, tabular column, and for those cards we'll just use this create. So these were the commands which we go and these were only a few comments, not all comments. Only these were few comments. So we do have a number of comments. What's the full form of SQL? So if anyone knows the answer, try to ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. Like just the full form. Like what does it actually means? Like what's how to define it? So if anyone has an idea, try to ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. Yeah. So as you look into this, the full form of SQL is structured query language. So as we jump into the next one, what is the difference between a DBMS and RDBMS? Like, what's the major difference between them? So, if anyone knows the answer, try to ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. Yeah. So as we look into this, a DBMS is nothing but it's called as database management system. So it is a software application that helps to build and maintain the database. So as we come across this RDBMS, so it is a relational based database management system, and it is a subject of DBMS. It is a subset of this DBMS, and it is one of the based of the relational models of the DBMS. So as we go with the next one, what are the joints in SQL? And name them. So if anyone knows the answer, try to ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. Yeah. So as we look into this, so a joint it is used to query data from multiple tables based on the relationships between the fields. So as in this SQL, we do have four different joints. There are inner joint, right joint, left joint, and full joint. So this is how a joints work in the SQL, and these were the four types of joint which we are working on. So as we go into the next question, what is a null value field? Like what does it actually means? Like is it a particular value, or what is it that sentence mean? Like what's the null value? So if anyone has an idea on it, just ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. So actually I was busy with some other meeting, so that's why I haven't prepared the documentation today. So from tomorrow we'll do in that part itself, in the same way as we are doing in the previous classes. Yeah. So as we look into this, this null values are nothing but the empty values. Like suppose if we create a tabular column in the SQL, then it might be with some null values or it might fill with the data. We can't be particularly say that it will either it will be filled with data or we do have some null values. So null value field is nothing but it's an empty space where there is no value or no variable which is allotted in that particular place is just called null value. So as we go with the next one, list different types of relationships in Python. So if anyone knows the answer, try to ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer within a minute.
Yeah. So as you look into this, there are different types of relations in the database. So there are one-to-one relations, one-to-many, and many-to-one, many-to-many, as well as self-referencing relation. So one-to-one. So this is an connection between two tables in which each record in one table it is corresponds to the maximum of records in the other table. So this is an one-to-one relationship. So as we go to the one-to-many or many-to-one, so this is the most frequently connected in which a record in one table is linked to the several records in other tables. Like we might do have some correlation with other tables of data, right? The same way, one-to-many relationships of an SQL. So many-to-many. So this is used for defining a relationship which requires several instances on each side. So self-referencing relation. So when a table has to declare a connection with itself, so this is the method of MLOP. So as we jump into the next question, what are the subjects of SQL? So if anyone knows the answer, can ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. Yeah. So as we look into this, TDL, which is defined as data definition language. Okay. So it includes the SQL commands like create, alter, and delete. Whereas DML is an other language or a other subset which defines data manipulation language. It accesses and manipulates the data, including the inserted and updated commands. So this DML manipulation language does only these kind of functions. So as we go with the next one, which is called as a DCL, which is a data control language. So it control access to the database and uses commands like grant and revoke. So these were subsets of the SQL. So as we jump into the next question, what are triggers in SQL? So if anyone knows the answer, try to ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. Yeah. So as we link into this trigger in SQL is are special types of stored procedures that are defined to execute automatically in place or after the data modification. So it allows you to execute a batch of code when are inserted and update or any other query is executed against a specific table. So that's how a trigger works in an SQL. So as we jump into the next question, what what are the different operators available in SQL? So if anyone has an idea on it, can just ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. So as we look into this, we do have three different types of operators. There are arithmetic, logical, and comparison. So these were the three different types of operators which we go in the SQL. So I think you might have an idea on it, like what does each perform does. So as we jump into the next one, what is an primary key? So if anyone knows the answer, try to ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. So as we look into this, a primary key in SQL is a column or collection of columns or a set of columns. So that unique identifies each row in the table. So the unique identifies a single row in the table and null values which are not allowed. So as we go into the next question, what are local and global variables? So if anyone knows the answer, try to ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. So as we look into this, what are the local as well as the global variables? I think most of them has an idea on it. So the local variables. So these variables, which are can't be used or exist only, these are being existed only inside the function. So these variables are not used or referred by another function. Where you come across the global variables, these variables are the variables which can be accessed throughout the program. Whenever you need of these global variables, you can access over that at any particular time. So global variables cannot be created whenever the function is called. So that's the thing. So as we go with the next question, how many aggregate functions are available in SQL? So if anyone knows the answer, can ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. Yeah. So as we look into this, so the SQL aggregate function, they provide information about a database. So this database, for an example, it returns the average of the database columns value. So we do have 7 aggregate functions in this SQL. Those are average, count, maximum, minimum, sum, first, and last. First and last are the name expressions, like first value of an expression as well as the last value of an expression. Where you come across the sum, the total summed value, like non-null value, will be specified in that particular thing. Maximum and minimum, the largest maximum is nothing but the largest value among the group, whereas minimum is nothing but the smallest value among the group. The count, number of table rows, including rows, null values, each and everything will be counted over the average. Returns the average value from specific column. So that's how an aggregate function is divided into 7 types and their importance of that. So as we jump into the next question, so what is deep learning? So if anyone knows the answer, try to bring me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. So as we look into this, what is deep learning? So this deep learning involves taking large volume of structures and unstructured data using some complex algorithms. We do have to use some complex algorithms and to train this neural network. So it performs complex operations to extract the hidden patterns, features, each and everything by using these complex algorithms. We can just find out them like how to extract the hidden parameters and all inside the data. Okay, so as we jump into the next question, so what's a neural network is? So if anyone knows the answer, try to ping me in the chat box and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. Yeah, so as we look into this neural network, it replicates the way humans learn, inspiring by how the new neurons is they have been doing, and we do a similar. So this neural network consists of three major layers. Those are the input layer, the hidden layer, as well as an output layer. So as of these three layers, we do how to the work accordingly. So as we jump into the next question, what is the benefit of using a Python programming language? So if anyone knows the answer, try to ping me in the chat box, and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. Yeah. So as we look into this, Python is a general purpose programming language, and it is very simple to use, easy to learn. Syntaxes are very familiar with us, and therefore it is very rest cost, and it is open source. So this language is capable of scripting. So and it's completely open source and which supports even third party packages, and it's a platform independent. Like you can even run it in Ubuntu, Windows, Mac, Linux. So it's a platform independent thing. So this the main benefit of this is when you're working on a project, like it helps to reduce the cost, like without carrying any like downloading any software or buying any software, this Python, as it is a free of cost, then it try to reduce the cost of the particular project. So as we jump into the next question, so what's a dynamically typed language in Python? So if anyone knows the answer, try to ping me in the chat box, and we'll discuss the answer within a minute. Yeah. So as we look into this, these data types are checking during the execution part. So Python is an interpreted language which executes each and every statement line by line, and thus type checking is done on flight during the execution. So hence Python is a dynamically typed language. So that's it for the day, guys. Thanks for joining the session, and we'll meet you in the next session. So from the next session, I'll even provide the question as well as an answer by which you can even read from your side, and I'll just try to explain from my side. Bye, guys.